And we are here one final time. We appreciate everyone tuning in for the awesome OSSAA Championships here for spring. It's been a lot of fun throughout the entire day. We got to see Splatoon, we got to see Rocket League, and now we end with the best and longest of all the games out there. We are going to League of Legends. I'm very excited to be here. My name is Orbital. Of course, I'm not Hail Monkey Man, and K Factor on my side will be your casters for this event. K Factor, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I may not be Hail Monkey Man either, but I'm trying to with the beard at least. He's my inspiration. But I'm excited for League today. We're definitely not going to get any 45-second long game fives like we saw with Splatoon. So we're in it for the long haul here, but it's going to be a good series.
We hope so as well, because we are in with two amazing teams. This is Jenks Varsity High School versus Edmond Memorial High School, and these two teams will be going at it. This is a best of three series. Please keep that in mind, and that's going to be a lot of fun as well. Right now, Jenks Varsity, I believe, is one of the stronger schools out here, coming in with pretty high-ranging players. They came in, I think, pretty much undefeated as the first seed in the division as well, whereas Edmond Memorial, they came in as fourth seed into the playoffs and have somehow dominated their way through. So I'm very excited to see what they can throw down here. You can already see some very basic bans coming out, the Nocturne and the Aatrox, but on the flip side, a Kane sent Panda Rise way. This one is a Panda Rise special.
Yeah, I mean, I just watched a lot of LCK last night, and so I'm going to have to adjust my thought process here because we are going into a much more, what I believe to be going to be a lot more solo queue kind of ban pick style. I do want to say that the rank differential here between these two teams is interesting to look at, and it is nice to see that Edmond did make it through as the fourth seed. So I'm surprised to see if they're going to try to play something a little bit more away from the meta to try and make it a little more uncomfortable here for the side of Jenks.
I think that would be the smart thing to do here. You do see it though, the Nocturne, the Aatrox, and the Yone. I believe that spells Nay as well, which is pretty funny. Nay, you don't get to play the game or anything like that. I don't know. That's a fun one. The Samira, though, targeted towards that bottom lane, stop scuttle abuse, is someone that is seen as one of the high priority, I believe. You do want to lock down their champion pool. They play Misfortune, Ezreal, Lucian, and Jinx, so taking away two of those, the Samira as well, I think is very important, but that's why you lock in the Misfortune here. You get a good solid bottom lane. It's not high tier meta, but it's a great stay away champion.
Yeah, I mean, Misfortune gives you a lot of decent damage at range. A lot of lethality ADC right now is definitely good. I like Jhin as a pick into that. I don't know if the laning phase is going to be as strong for Jhin into that Misfortune. Supports is going to make a big play here, but Jhin late game, especially with the range that his R provides too, gives a lot of some long range poke damage that they're going to be able to use to kind of counter that Misfortune into the late game.
And I like this call out as well. This is Fake going ahead and grabbing that Lilia and saying, hey, I'm going to be putting people to sleep. That's what we're going to play for. And now the safety comes out. Once you see the Lilia, you know the sleep comes through. You don't want to let it happen. So you got that Tom Kench. And in that same vein, go ahead and grab the Yasuo going in there for Element. This is a very high priority pick for them. They play it very often. They play it extremely well, from my understanding. So I'm excited to see what they can do. The set, though, to try and slow things down, this does mean that the side of Edmond Memorial is quite immobile. You don't really have solid engaged tools. But with that sleep, you're hoping to overcome that barrier.
Yeah, I am a Tom Kench main myself. I am a firm believer that the Kench can't be benched, and so I'm excited to see how that's going to play into this game. So far, I like both of the picks from both sides here. Lilia, to me, always a strong pick and has a lot of snowball potential, especially when it comes to those late game team fights. If they're able to get those sleeps off, it could be really turntables kind of action there in the 5v5s.
And we really do have to focus on that Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser recently receiving a buff in the way of a QSS nerf. No longer able to No, that didn't go through yet. I lied. Never mind. Don't worry about that. That is not in through yet, but it is Kai Sin's one of their most played champions. You don't want to let that one through, and you just don't want to have to deal with it. The ban on the other side, though, the Malzahar in that mid lane, a direct counter post level 6 to the Yasuo, just saying, hey, we don't want that auto stop position. Coming out here, you're still looking at that top jungle situation, though. Panda Rai has a few more, but Kaizen still the one denied that Camille. Most played by far.
Yeah, and Camille also is turned into very much a multi-lane threat, especially with her support capabilities moving up there as well. But she's just a high damage, high reliable, very good engaged champ as well. So getting her off the pool is always a good ban, especially for me because I always tend to feed that pretty hard. And we see the Lux coming off there as well.
That one's going to be just the long range DPS not allowed through. But I do appreciate this as well because you take a look at what they want to do. Yasuo wants to get up close. You want to take away some of those long range potentials and you keep it very close knit. You keep the opponent very close to the chest. Ori not going to enjoy that factor, and that is Ori Zaithu. I think in the mid lane for Edmond Memorial. That's what we're going to be watching for. There's the engage that we kind of wanted, though, the Rel in that support position. I like this. You can dive in, catch Misfortune, catch Tom Kench. How much further are you going to go, though? We're still looking for that mid lane.
Yeah, that rel pick is necessary for that Edmond side. They were lacking that engage, as you said, and that is a huge pick that's going to provide a lot of long-term sustain as well as also some really good engage potential. Karthus getting locked here on the
Wow.
side of Jenks. I love that, and that's just reliable late game scale.
It is, and that's headed into, I think, that jungle because that's a Nivea top. If I'm not wrong, I think Kai Sin has played this recently in solo queue, and it's messy and frustrating, but if you build tank, Nivea has a lot of keep away tactics. So I do like this. It is the I hate you comp. We're not going to deal with this. So I. This is going to be very fun. What is this last one going to be, though? Pink looking for an option and going for the Cassante. So I was mixed up. I think this set is into that mid lane, Cassante to top lane. Edmond Memorial keeping their range extremely short now.
Yeah, I'm not to say I'm not a fan, but I'm not a fan. I would also say they are severely lacking in the damage department.
Yes.
I don't see a way for them to make up that gap here. It's gonna really have to come down to a really snowball s game from them to try and get some maybe early picks if they can in any of these lanes. But if they are able to, they have to try and build off of it pretty hard.
The other side of that, they have a lot of tankiness. If you weather the early game and you get to that mid to late, the damage champions coming out on the side of Jenks is actually low value. Misfortune, yes, can shred if you run lethality, but as an on hit sustained DPS, you're actually not that strong. It's very early to mid game focus. You have that burst ability, and then after that, you don't have much. You're going to be focusing on that Jhin. For the Karthus and Anivia, you need time to scale up, and a lot of people are saying the Anivia itself nowadays is more considered early to mid. The items right now don't actually synergize with the strong Anivia burn build. You want to wait them inside of that storm. It doesn't actually synergize as well. The last one I'm looking at is that Yasuo in the mid lane. Element actually has a decent level to climb up here. This is specifically like, screw the Yasuo. We don't want to deal with the Yasuo. A lot of champions that can lock you down, keep you put away from the fight. That's what it feels like Edmond really looked at.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they go about it with this game plan because their team is going to have a very specific strategy they're going to have to follow in order to make this work. I do like the Yasuo shutdown. They're in the mid, but again, you do have a lot of alt synergy as well on that Jenks side. There's a lot of damage they're going to be able to put out very fast. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting matchup.
It's going to be fun. Is there a specific lane that you are most curious about, though? Because out of all of them that feel most standard, it is that bottom lane. It's a Rel Jhin versus that Tom Kench Misfortune. It's a very simplistic matchup. That one just on paper looks so stock standard, but which way does it actually fall towards?
It's a great question. Personally, I'm just going for the Tom Kench because I love Tom Kench.
Like you said, you love Tom, right?
I love Tom Kench. I think Tom Kench is a pretty solid pick into Rel, though. I think it's something that's not picked into Rel as much as it could be. And again, I could be wrong. That's just from a gold mindset. But I think the Tom Kench offers a lot of ability to stop the hard Rel engage and offers a lot of health and tank to kind of take out the aggression that's going to come from that Rel. Again, I don't think Jhin gets very aggressive early in this lane against the Misfortune Tom Kench. So it's interesting to see, but I think bot lane's going to be pretty back and forth. I don't see either side getting a really big advantage down there.
I would agree with that. There are some moments where you sit there and go, okay, is this actually going to work out? Are we going to see the Jhin aggress? Because we do know Edmond, they have a composition that can roll into the late game, but that Jhin is the primary focus. Not only that, the Lilia in the back end, I think, has a lot of freedom to work with. If you're taking a look at it, Fake is going to be trying to get that build up, try and get that burn damage, and also try and invade. You have a very squishy team on the other side. You look at the Anivia, yes, mid to late, you're going to probably run a Rada Aegis, plus a Saracen Embrace, probably a Leandri's, and maybe a Malignance. Those are all late game scaling, though, and you're still pseudo tank. You're a lot more HP focused in that regard. The Karthus, I don't think you want to build. I don't think you want to build any sort of tankiness. You want that shred damage. You want that burst ability. These are all the little pieces that we're going to be watching for to see if we're watching at Fake. If we're looking at this Lilia, how do you think the Lilia fits into this? Because this was picked on early on into the draft for the side of Edmond Memorial.
The one thing I like about the Lilia is that it offers a target that is hard to hit. I don't
Yep.
think that there's any very reliable like non-skill shot CC coming out from the side of Jenks, at least from what I saw. So actually targeting that Lily and locking it down is going to be a little bit difficult and going to be just kind of a nuisance to deal with for Jenks, especially if she's able to get a couple kills and start to scale her damage up heading into the mid to late parts of this game. She really can start to pop some of the squishy damage that Jenks has and kind of take that off the board pretty fast. It's going to be interesting to see how they use that to kind of zone out these fights and try and make it difficult to deal with.
That'll be really fun to watch for. Finally, looking into that top side, one of the more unorthodox situations that I think we've ever had. It's an Anivia versus a Cassante. We know Cassante can be a bully, and we know the survivability of this tank even in the early to mid. How does that Anivia fit into it? How are we actually going to watch this Anivia? I mean, yes, you have the range, but is that all there is to it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see Anivia being chosen here as kind of anything to do with that Cassante pick. At least Cassante's not going to be able. I don't see Cassante getting much done in that lane against the Anivia. She's just going to be pretty much farming it up. There's not much Cassante can do about it. I think going into those late game team fights, Anivia offers a lot more AoE damage and kind of CC, especially with her wall to kind of section off some of the team fights, where I see it being more useful than Cassante if played correctly. Cassante, though, is just going to be sponging damage this whole game. And the R can definitely section one person out, but I like the Anivia.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. Not only that, you do try and have that wall to specifically deny a lot of these go-in champions. Because you take a look down the line, this Anivia was B5. You say, okay, that wall is going to section not only the Lilia, but, well, I think Lilia can hop over. But the Set's not really going to have a way through. The Jin's going to have to stay far away. The Realm may be able to hop over. There's so many little things that we get to watch for, and I'm very, very curious to see how far we're actually going to get with this composition, because we do know Jenks is a very strong team. They are first seed for a reason. If this rolls over, for Jenks specifically, if this snowballs out of control, where does the snowball occur? Because I know the Yasuo's in the mid lane, but that's a set. Maybe you don't actually want to fight the set early. If we see a snowball, what are the most likely lanes that Jenks are going to work with?
I see it happening bot. I think if your focus is going to be anywhere for Jenks, I think it has to be bot lane. I think the lethality misfortune here would have a lot of value if they end up going in that direction. And so it looks like we already have a ton of damage down on the Edmonds bot lane already, which would lead me to believe that there was a level 1 fight there that didn't quite go the way they thought it would. So already a good start for Jenks.
I think this is appropriate. You need that early level 1. Again, this is why you pick that Misfortune. It can bully out very heavily, but it's also going to leave the door open for Panda Ride to move into the enemy side jungle. You're going to look at a possible dive or look to try and clear out some of the waves. That's a double knock up into this bot side tower, and Plight is going to get taken out, though. That's first blood in a trade back. That's Baiko to grab one, but that's a triple for Pink. What a turn for Edmond Memorial.
That was a very interesting decision to do, especially into a Rel at level 3, but that Rel's not going to die anytime soon now, especially off that back. 900 gold in the pocket, that's huge. I question that decision, to be honest. Into a Rel, that's a very difficult dive to pull off, even though the Jin is pretty low HP. At least the Karthus gets one out of there. You get a little something out of it, but that's a huge start for Edmond. That's kind of something that they needed here.
And it's also a non-diveable comp. You have a Misfortune, a Tom Kench, and a Karth. These are not really dive-heavy champions, so I am very surprised to see that they even went for it at the same time. I like the attempt itself. The idea of, hey, we want to see how far we can get away with it. And honestly, Pink getting 3 kills on a support, yes, you're going to be tanky. Baiko still died, and you see the CS numbers actually breaking in favor of Stop Scuttle. Huge boon to their bucket. So I think so far Jenks, they're a little bit frustrated that it didn't work. It's not the end of the world just yet.
No, definitely not. For them, it's going to be about bouncing back and making sure that we don't extend that lead any deeper. The good thing is you didn't have any kills over towards the Jin, so he's not going to be too strong where that lane gets really unplayable for you as of yet. So far, it does look like every lane so far is performing pretty well. I do like the CS lead there on the set, just about 10 over, a wave or so. And Cassante is going to struggle a little bit as we expect. Tier start on Anivia, so just going for trying to get to that late game build as fast as possible. So everything here going solid, but definitely Edmonds need to find a way to snowball off of this lead in the bot lane. I think you just found your win con here for the early to mid game.
If Pyko can go ahead and hang on to it, it's going to be good. In the top side, though, seeing a little bit of a challenge here. This is going to be the difference here. Kai Sin getting some good damage in. And you can see there, that annoying Anivia play is what we want to watch for. We're going to bully you out of lane. We're going to get a CS lead. We're just going to push in waves over and over again. And then we wait for this gank situation. Fake jumping into this top side. No level 6 for Kai Sin, meaning this is a free kill. Fake gonna pick that one up. Egg is down, and it's easy one to have. Do you give this over to Malinov, though? I think you do not. You give it to Fake. You get the Lilia rolling.
Yeah, I like this. You got to get damage pumping into that Lilia fast. The faster she gets into this late game, I really see it as a strong point here for this Edmond side. And a 4-1 start for them, showing kind of coming in as this 4th seed, why they may be flying under people's radars a little bit, because I've seen nothing but solid play so far from almost every player.
Of course, at the same time, it's defensive play. It's strong defensive play. They haven't been able to overaggress, but this is where the aggression comes down. Fake gonna jump right in. That's a quick wall up on the back of the head, and the burn is more than enough. Fake is going to take their second, and that's a 5-1 lead to Edmond Memorial.
Yeah, I mean, Karthus saw this. That was, I believe they were on vision there. He knew at least the Lilia was up there from that gank top. So it's interesting to see him kind of walk up like that, especially when Anivia is not in a position to help. That's going to be Void Mites as well over to Edmond. So that should be all three with no Drake being able to be traded out. Now, there is a lot of bot lane pressure here for Jenks. And it looks like they've been able to pretty much sustain this priority down here in the bot for the entirety of this 6 minutes. So I see the Mountain Drake probably going over towards the side of Jenks here, but I'm interested to see if Edmond's going to kind of try and get themselves in position to contest it.
I think they can. I think Edmond has more than enough control, but of course, Fake is on the top side of the map, meaning that you're not set up for it. And remember, even though the kills went down on the bot side, it's still strong from the Misfortune and the Tom Kench. They're now looking to dive as Byko is left alone. Problems abound as this is what you want. That's how you play a dive. Plight more than happy to pull this one off, a much better stance than they had in the first attempt. Now, a little bit of split focus. Take a look at who's around. Fake able to rebuttal. And the set to draw out Panda Rai. Bad times indeed, as this is Edmond Memorial to stop the Dragon take.
Yeah, again, just a huge shutdown from them. And it is really all about counterplay for them at the moment. They haven't really done anything too aggressive other than the Lilia gank top, but that Anivia has pushed up pretty hard. And everything has just been counterplay towards what they're seeing. So their reactionary play has been very solid. And I've been liking what I'm seeing from them so far.
Yes, we are going to go into our faces just for a quick moment as we have a little bit of a breather. And I want to get down to this because we mentioned for this squad, for the side of Edmond Memorial, they need a good start. The kills haven't gone exactly the way they want, and even though the kills are going in their favor, they're still losing out on tower pressure. If you're in a game like this, K-Factor, which would you prefer, lane pressure or kills?
I mean, right now it looks like their lack of lane pressure isn't hurting them. Their kills are very solid. They've also been able to funnel a lot of kills onto that Lilia early, which I think is something that I really wanted to see, because that Lilia is going to be a menace in this mid to late game as it develops. 3 kills on the rel is a little unfortunate, but at least you get some extra tank early on. The lane pressure is how Jenks is going to get back in, though, but they need to take advantage of it. They need to be able to capitalize on some objectives off of that lane pressure. Giving up that Drake there, or that Drake fight with the kind of prior you had bot, is not what the look should have been.
Nah, I think that's true. You sat there and were like, hey, we're going to try and make it. And then we also see the other side of it, which is Panterai is actually having a really difficult time right now. Tried twice now to get some sort of jungle farm, and this is the downside. We mentioned that the Lilia is a big point of contest. You pick this up in R2 of the draft, and for this squad, you want to have a good time. The fact that you're dominating this Karthus right now means that that Requiem coming in, that level 6 ultimate, is not going to actually have that much favor. It's not going to be able to have that oomph that is needed to get over a lot of these damage threats. Because remember, we talked about it before, this is all chaining together because it's true. The Karthus is a big way to cut through the set HP, through the Cassante HP, through that Rel HP. You want that burstability, you want that shred. It's not going to come online for a while.
Yeah, they've stunted the growth of that Karthus pretty hard. And it's kind of what they needed to do, because that Karthus was the main counter, as you said, for kind of these HP heavy tanks. And right now, he's not going to be online for a long time. He's got 3 deaths. His farm is all right, but he is behind. It's just slightly in gold, or pretty heavily in gold, actually, to that Lily as soon as she backs and kind of gets those buys in. So he's going to be stunted for a while. And I'm interested to see how they keep this counterplay up, because the longer they're able to keep him behind, the better their mid and late game starts to look.
This is going to be those little tests of power in the mid lane. Ori, of course, we haven't seen too much. Had a nice stop on Panterai earlier, but is right back in the mid lane, down about 10 CS. This is not the worst in the world. We're seeing the gold, surprisingly enough, at a 7-3 stance. The gold is actually very close to even only 100 gold difference. And look at this, what a call. Jenks, still having that control over the dragon, is able to pick up first objective.
And that's what they needed, especially the mountain. That's going to help a little bit with kind of eating some of the damage, but they need to keep finding that prio. With that one Drake up, they got to turn it to 2. We've got a mid lane engage here, which should turn into a kill, but the set's doing pretty well. W's still up. He's going to be out of here. I don't think they're going to have any kind of kill pressure on him as he walks away.
Nope, I think it's going to be okay. No takedowns available here today, as Ori is like, yo, I'm the set. I'm chilling. I'm okay. Element, though, trying to heal up, and they're going to try and bring it right back in. That's going to be Pink with the gank. One more auto attack can take. Ignite goes down. Element sent back to spawn. Feels bad, man. Fake now taken. The last of the grubbies, but going to try and get away. Does have flash over the wall. Is safe. Is not going to fall anytime soon. However, Pink wants to fight Magnustorm, going to keep them stunned up as Panterai has no flash, and it's going to be the elimination. Malinov gets one for themselves, and no chance for Kai Sin to run. The egg will be scrambled once again.
Yeah, everything on this map is all about finding opportunities on the other side. So they give up that Drake, but they find 5 mites. Good from Jenks to kind of shut down giving 6, because the split push potential here for some of these champions is a little good. Bot lane's going to try and take advantage of kind of the pressure they have, and some of this advantage they have just in the lane matchup, and keeping Jin completely zoned away from this turret. That's going to fall too. So they're at least finding some gold back on the other side, and Tahm Kench is engaged here. This is getting Jin's having fun.
Oh, Jin is enjoying life right now. This is what it's all about. You're very low, and if you survive, that's actually a big dub. Yeah, you're safe. You're not gone. However, the lane pressure is that difference. Take a look at the CS numbers. Stop Scuttle. Massive lead right now. 106 CS. Ridiculous number. First tower goes down. Pretty much you're matching the itemization difference with FICO as well. Fake is going to try and come in, help out a little bit. And remember, with that ghost, Stop Scuttle is going to try and run away, but you're running to the wrong side of the map. I think you're just going to be chow for the enemy team.
Yeah, going to this turret, I mean, this is close to an
Can you dodge
execute, is
out?
it not?
Oh, nope. Baiko gets the elimination. Very nice pickup.
Yeah, that's going to be good for the Jin. He's going to get himself back in a little bit. Shutdown gold. I believe there was a little shutdown on there, 150. I might be wrong. Probably not. I don't think so, but at least a kill. So 300 gold going that way. Yeah, I mean, that's 5 plates to 0, though. So Misfortune's made up kind of for some of that kill differential that Rel has. Knight's Vow already finished, though. Jin's going to be a little bit better as this 2 players, again, just trying to get this Yasuo out from under this turret. Damage traded both ways, but no kill going to come from it. And now the counter engage here as well. Karthus coming through. Might be able to find a kill, but it's just set W.
That's just too easy. That's all it's going to be. And it feels like Edmond Memorial are starting to find a little bit of a breath of fresh air. Of course, Kai Sin on the other side. You're Cassante, you're quite strong, and you are going to live, but that's going to be the Requiem to claim that life. No way. Did Malinov get to the plants in time? You were able to sustain up. You're still alive, and you're not gone. Now a dive underneath the towers. That's a flash away. Tahm Kench doesn't want anything else to do. The Bullet Storm doesn't really help out either, so this is getting a little bit messy here, K-Factor.
Yeah, I can't believe Cassante lives that, by the way. Also, I really don't like this Misfortune build path. I don't think the Kraken Slayer was the way to go. Maybe I'm wrong. I think full lethality here is huge, but she opts to go for the Kraken Slayer. She's got the agility cloak as well for the extra crit. Moby boots. A lot of pressure being put on here by Jenks, and I think this is what they need to do. They need to try and get this lead back as fast as possible and try and get some of their late game carries back into this game.
I think they can do that by getting Element a kill. That's the burn to finish. Elimination goes down. Shut down for Panda Rye, as that is one that you want. Went for the Leandri's burn first. So we got burn against burn situation. And now with the Herald up and available, Jenks can use this to break open one of the towers.
Yeah, this is great counterplay. Shutdown going to cart, this is huge because that makes up for some of the deficit that was created from those early invades. So he's going to get an extra 400 gold from that rel kill on top of the 300 from the kill. So huge gold back for him. And as they're going kind of around this map and the Rift Herald's back in favor of Jenks as well, they've really done well to try and cut this gold deficit down.
It's starting to come together. These catches, these moments, plight, having to run away. A little bit of a bouncing grenade there. There's nothing more to say. At the current moment, the main thing that we're watching for is this dragon. One of the things that they're hoping for at Jenks Varsity is carrying themselves one mountain. The Hextech Dragon will go the way of Edmond, but after that, it's all left to the air. It's wondering exactly what happens here and who gets what in terms of that soul. If the soul is to be played for, that's the big one. It is Cloud Soul. Move fast, everyone.
That's huge for Lilia. Cloud Soul is going to be massive for the Lilia, for the Cassante, for the set. Not a lot of champions that I think are going to take advantage of that on Jenks' side, at least, from what I see, other than maybe the Yasuo. But this is good for Edmond if they're going to be able to take advantage of that. Now we've got a huge fight.
Oh, Malinov jumps right back to the rest of the team, though. That's the backup that you need. In goes the bullet time, and I don't think it's going to work. Again, this is on-hit misfortune, and nothing works. Baiko picking up 1, 2, 3. Looking for a slam, though. Showstopper brings the ball together. Ori going to pick up that one, and it looks like Jenks are falling like flies. 3 sent back to spawn.
Yeah, and you're really seeing kind of the weakness of the on-hit there for the Misfortune. It looked like she was just kind of throwing in a couple auto attacks. Even I think the auto attacks might have done more damage than we saw from the Misfortune ultimate there. But what a job from the Cassante to kind of push that fight straight towards his team that was there for the rotate as well. So far, it's been great performance from both sides. I am impressed by what Edmond has been able to pull off, especially on paper in a game that shouldn't be close. They've got this gold lead almost up to 3K. They're 15-4 in terms of eliminations. That might find the kill, but the shield's it out.
I am also in agreement. This is a very prominent Edmond squad here. They're showing off their stuff, and they're not stopping anytime soon. This Lilia fake is on a rampage. 4-0-4. Should be melting through everyone even further. And I have to shout out Pink on this bottom side. She's been doing an amazing job roaming about. 4-1-7 after that early 3 eliminations. You were mentioning it before. Hey, what can a rel do? You get tanky. Well, it's not only that, you unlock yourself in the laning phase to move out to the rest of the lanes, affect the rest, and help the rest of the team get that extensive lead. Step number 1 for Edmond Memorial has been completed. You go ahead, gather up a couple eliminations, you get a decent gold chunk. You're now 3K in the lead. Now you can start breaking down towers.
Got that Cassante in the top lane too, who sneakily kind of crept himself up to 3-0-2.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Which is monster. He's got 2 completed items already. Frostfire is going to help put out a little damage, but his sustain, his tank is going to be huge going into this later game. He is massively ahead. Interesting to see the Heartsteel Anivia coming out. That's going to give maybe a little bit of sustain to this Jenks side, but that's going to take away a lot of damage too.
On the other flip, though, you mentioned it, Jenks is starting to try and push those global reigns, and they have done so. They've taken 2 towers for their name, and they have the mid almost down as well. So it's not like they aren't trying to pressure. It's just their ability to pressure will slowly collapse over time. I think that's what we're looking at here. So how far are you going to get? Ori now chasing in, trying to find Pantherai. Not going to happen. Knockup going to occur, though, just out of range. But there is no flash. Ori, you are pretty much alone. Pink, she's going to come in, try and help out here, and they're going to try and turn it around. TP coming in. This could be a big challenge, but Ori is already gone. No chance to help out. Malinov coming in from the side, but Fake is ready to go. How long can they extend the site? We mentioned how tanky they are. That's going to be the stun and root. No elimination to follow, but the takedown is more than enough. Drowsy sleep. Fake is unstoppable. Get a few more on. Plight is down as well. Fake lost in the storm, but has gotten their eliminations all they could want. The gold is in their favor, but it's a massive turnaround for Jenks as they weather through the storm.
That is a huge play for Jenks. It didn't look like they were going to be winning that fight, and they somehow turn it around as the rotations come through. And again, another 700 gold shutdown over towards that Karthus, who has the Rabadon's finished second item, already has that Leandri's built. Cassante going in there actually melted by that misfortune, going for that Hollow Radiance instead of the Sunfire. Had to go to that into that matchup. So not a lot of armor stacked up yet for that Cassante, and he was gone fast in that fight after popping the ultimate. So huge comeback here for Jenks. That gold lead eviscerated. Only 200 down now after being down by 3k. Objectives on the map not quite up yet, but interesting to see how they're going to try and convert some of this comeback into an even bigger lead.
And I think that's where they're hoping for it. You saw how well they soaked up that damage. They were able to almost stall out how hard Edmond Memorial wanted to play. That's something we mentioned earlier in the game as well. Edmond Memorial, for how big of a lead they got, they need entryways into the game. They need entryways into the fights. They need the ability to actually join in. And their engage options are pretty slim. You got a Showstopper coming in from the set. You have a Rel jump in with the Magnet Storm. You have a Lilting Lullaby if you catch 2 or 3 members, or a Flash Engage from the Lilia. These are not optimal engage sources. These are not perfect engage sources. So you really do have to almost throw yourselves into that situation. You have to be willing to sacrifice yourself for that perfect engage. If not, you're going to be in trouble. Now comes a little bit of a storm, though. That's going to be a massive bullet storm over the side, as it's going to be stopped. Scuttle to pick up a couple kills, and it looks like the section has worked. Malinov is able to find one in the backside. Fake is able to find one, too. And it looks like you're able to trade out evenly. However, Scuttle sprinting for their life, knocked back to the rest of the team. Malinov, unfortunately, will go down. The burn is enough, but Malinov may pay the price. Baiko trying to do their own, but that wind wall is more than enough. Not able to follow up behind. It's a 3 for 3 so far. Considering how far Jenks is, though, considering how low they are and how little they have gotten, I'd say that's a dub for them.
100% is. It's interesting to see that's kind of 2 fights in a row now where Edmond are just playing into the Misfortune choke points, and kind of lining themselves up in it. And they, even though it is on hit Misfortune, if you're sitting in 8 waves of bullet, you're not really going to be able to stop that damage from going through. This tank on the Anivia is so interesting because it is actually providing so much sustain, and she is putting out still a decent amount of damage as she's got that tier fully stacked. I imagine that's going to be turning into a Seraph's as well. She's going to be a bit of a problem as we get later into this game, because they haven't really been able to take her down outside of the laning phase. It looks like Jenks is going to take advantage of some of the pressure they gained off that fight and grab this Cloud Drake as well. So another thing going in their favor, and this should kind of tilt this lead back to pretty much even in terms of gold.
And that's where it really matters. The eliminations are there. It's 20 to 11. That's fine. But it doesn't mean anything if you don't get extra gold off the back end. You need that gold. That is what gets you the items, and considering how much CES is different, it's very, very powerful. Right now, Stop Scuttle getting drawn in by that Magnet Storm, and now drawn into what could be Death Good Devour to keep them alive. But this is going to be the challenge. A run back, though. Stop Scuttle saying, yo, you can't run away too far. That Kraken Slayer doing a lot of work, plus the IE behind. And it's going to be a bounce, plus the Requiem. 2 are going to be gone. A little bit of burn coming in from Baiko, as they will just barely survive. But it's once again Jenks to deny that engage.
Yeah, the Misfortune is pumping. So I think I'm going to eat my words from what I said earlier. That was 4 Qs in a row and a lot of damage on those bounces too. So great job from this Misfortune to really have an impact here, just finding these raw picks in the mid lane that you really didn't think were going to happen. As this Karthus continues to scale too, almost had the burn tick on that Jhin, and his ults are going to really start to pump. One thing I will say though, you still have a 7-in-1 Lilia. The Rift Maker is completed. Cassante has 3 on him right now, going to try and find a way out of this with that ultimate, and a brawl in the bot lane too.
I mean, this is Ori trying to flash for flash, but it's not really going to work. Tower dive going through. Element gets 1. A shard to almost land, as Malinov will burn to the Leandries. And this will be Panther to fall as well. So 1-for-1 on top side, but overall a 2-for-1 Jenks getting these eliminations and starting to push down those lanes. Take a look at mid and bot side. The longer that Edmond Memorial chase for these members of Jenks Varsity, the longer it's going to take to get back into this mix. That is going to be the egg to come out here, attempting to resurrect, and it looks like they don't really have the damage. So I think Anivia comes right back up. Do you get the stun? You get a double. How much more do you get? You do not have the Zanyas, so you will fall in the end. Baiko is on a rampage, but take a look at where the Yasuo is.
Yeah, Yasuo, I mean, this should be the tier 3. Nobody even looks like they're going to respond to it. Looks like Set will be up, so probably actually going to save this turret for now. Element should just run away here, not give any of these kills, able to avoid the E as well. I'm a little disappointed in terms of what this set has turned into, because they started the game with an early kill, and I haven't really seen much come from it.
This is what we mentioned, though. The set is going to have difficulties. It was more seen as a stop point to try and deny the Yasuo, which it has done to somewhat of an effect. Yasuo is only 3, 2, and 3. Yes, has about 211 CS, but it's not that explosive Yasuo that we are used to seeing whenever they get a lead. It's more, it's there for the backup whenever a fight has to occur. But I do agree, this set needs a little bit more oomph. The R5 pickup we always talk about needs to be that glue to the rest of the team, needs to be that all-important pickup that grants you and your team that significant boost for the rest of the game. It needs to have that priority in there. You gave all 4 other picks for it, so it should have that value. Right now, though, it is just seen as a team fight coordinator. Maybe you get the showstopper down, maybe you get a bit more. That's going to be a knockup, though. Do you choose? Yes, you do. Slam into the back, and it's a grab of 4. What a team fight win! Jenks Varsity mess up big and lose 3 immediately.
I think Set may have been listening in, because that's the kind of impact that we wanted to see. What an ultimate to find that engage. I saw the Tom Kench going in. I was scared for Edmond. Set goes, nope, we're turning that right back around. Catfish into your team and 3,000 damage. That was huge. And what a turnaround it was. That should be the Baron for free. This is what Edmond needed after what looked to be such a grim state of affairs for them in this kind of later mid-game. It's turned really fast.
It's that back and forth situation, and Jenks Varsity have to realize that, yes, in a solo individual state, you are fairly strong. Panzerai might be able to get something, same with Element in a 1v1s. In a team fight scenario, Ori, Fake, Baiko are all going to run you over. Even Pink, if you try and engage on her, she's going to find you. She will find you. She will Magnetstorm all of you. You will not be able to get away. This next dragon coming up here in about 35 seconds will be a certain test. That is what I'm going to be watching for.
I mean, with this Baron pressure kind of throughout the lanes, I feel like Edmond has to try and fight for this Cloud Drake, and they should. I think we're going to have a nice team fight here. They're trying to find the pick onto Pink Guns, but she refuses. She's trying to get away. They're really pushing the pressure now. That's 4 on it, and they will find that pick. So that is a lot of your frontline engage gone. With this Drake coming up, that is not a good pick to be giving there at that time. And now it's going to be Jenks who probably are going to put themselves on soul point here.
We mentioned it. Individually, Edmond aren't really strong. As a team, that is where they flourish. And it looks like here, Ori wants to prove us wrong, trying to get Kai Sin of all sorts. But this is going to be a roam down plight, realizing that they can now get the knock up. The hard shove is going to work. And remember, the solo ability of Kai Sin to neutralize an opponent that has no jumps, that has no ability to get away, it's too good. That's going to be a flash away. Stop Scuttle, though. Getting ticked down here. Is that Seedling Fake on this Lilia? Does so much burn damage with a single key.
Yeah. The Lilia, with that Riftmaker, with the Leandries, Rylai's finish now as well is going to find a lot of slow, which is going to be nice kind of to counter some of the extra speed they're getting from these Cloud Drakes. They're going to be a problem. Problem is you need a little bit more than Lilia. You got to find engages as a team, as you said. Solo, they get picked. They lose almost every 1v1, I think, on this board. But as a team, I like their ability to snowball off of a set engage with the Rel combination. Jhin from the long side, Kasante able to take an ADC or so out of the fight. And Lilia can really start to get those Qs running. As we get deeper and deeper kind of towards this 30-minute mark, we're going to see a lot more 5v5s, hopefully. And then that's where we're really going to see the strength of Edmond that I want to see, hopefully, coming out.
You see if they can close it out here. Element, for their own, though, has been power farming to oblivion. 2.5 items, by the way, matching the likes of Ori. They've been trying to shove down these towers as much as possible and get extra gold for the rest of the team. That's why we're only seeing a 1 to 2k difference. Element, though, out of their element ever so slightly, as this is going to be a chase down, a heavy chase down at that. Are we going to see Plight be able to get over and help out? That's the other side of it, and it looks like they are going to try and turn away from it. Edmond Memorial, though, saying this is a fight that we could win. And Pink goes in, gets a stun here. Down goes the bullet time. Doesn't really do much damage. Remember, it's not lethality. And that's the shot that you want. A huge haymaker to come out at the showstopper and a Magnustorm behind. But Requiem comes in and it's going to burn them all. What a turnaround. Jenks Varsity say, yo, you went a bit too far. We don't care about you, Malinov. Your team is gone. Malinov, one of the last members alive, and is getting kited around here. Doves have the Randuins, but the Randuins does next to nothing. That's going to be the curtain call to try and finish off one or two members, but it's going to do barely any damage. They're all too dang healthy, and it's Kai Sin with the very, very strong shard to the back of the head. This is an amazing job from Jenks Varsity.
Yeah, what a way to counter that aggression in that top lane. I'm really not a fan of chasing that top lane fight like that. I think once Element gets out of there and you kind of see that Tom Kench, you know something's up. And the set ult kind of walked right into it and didn't accomplish much. So that engage, not a big fan. I think Edmond need to slow down a little bit, need to stop trying to push every single fighting opportunity and analyze kind of the situation they're in to take a little bit more of a look at kind of what the map state is, because that was not a very solid opportunity. I don't think that was ever going to be one in their favor. So take a second, reassess, go into these fights a little bit slower and try and analyze kind of where your condition is to win these fights, because right now it doesn't look like that direction is quite there. They've lost it a little bit as we get later and later in, and this Karthus continues to just scale and scale.
Everyone on the side of Jenks Varsity has started to hit their breakpoints. I would also like to point out Kai Sin on this top side is going a tankier route. You see that Heartsteel in the pocket, 416 stacks already. You're tanky as all heck. You can actually frontline right now. You can be in the front. You can try and be that CC bot. And it might throw down pretty dang well. You're going into that Leandri's next. It's going to take a little bit of time to finish up. But if you do, it's going to be great. That's going to be a jump forward, a little bit of a flash. No knock-up to land on Fake, though. But you will take Pink in return. It's going to be the slows in damage to come through, as that's a bouncing bullet from the side of Top Scuttle. With his wave pressured in, though, the side lanes are pushing for Edmond Memorial, so how long can they hold mid? Doesn't seem like very long. A little bit of Forest Element taking a couple tower shots, but look at this massive wave. Ori going ahead and taking away this top side tower. And Kai Sin, as much as you're tanky, you can't deal with the auto attacks. Remember, your pseudo tank is all you really got. Bot side now going to go down. Edmond Memorial with 6 towers to the name.
And that's a really smart macro play there from Edmond to try and chip away, find a little bit of siege as they're pushing this mid. You have 3 players or 3 champs on your team that are really good at clearing that wave pretty fast. They weren't really ever going to be able to push the case there on that mid turret, and they're able to find a tier 3 and that bot side tier 2 as well to trade it out. Set going for that hull breaker build. Kind of seems like he's gone in a direction that's going to be trying to push the pressure on those split pushes a lot here. As we get later in and trying to keep these 5v5s away for Jenks, because I think Jenks now has the favor in the 5v5s for sure. And it's going to be a Baron as well for Edmond, just trying to continue to smurf off of some of that pressure they were able to create, as it will be Soul over to Jenks for the trade.
And honestly, I don't think Edmond are too upset about this. A Cloud Soul is not the best thing in the world. It's more that you're taking it off the table and get that Elder as quickly as possible. Elder is actually what's going to help them out. You take a look down Jenks Varsity's side, the whole thing is they have trouble cutting through some of the tankiness factors of Malinov, Ori, and Fake. If you're able to get that execution value, all of a sudden your chances of winning an outright team fight are astronomically higher. You can all of a sudden just burn them down with a little bit of burst, get the damage, and then finish them off afterwards. It's such a big game changer that I wouldn't be surprised to see the likes of Jenks Varsity just play towards that Elder, play towards that win con, and just wait for the side of Edmond Memorial to come to them, because Edmond had to expend so much to even start a team fight.
Yeah, you do have the Leandri's now completed for this Anivia, so that's going to allow a little bit more damage pump coming out from that kind of just HP build we saw in the start. The Seraph's Heartsteel, a lot of Heartsteel stacks on there, 6 stacks on the Darksteel too, so that Anivia is kind of a hidden gem here so far for this Jenks side. That's a lot of sustain, a lot of survivability, especially with the egg up now as well. And it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of plays into this next team fight. Next major objective, I believe, is going to be the Baron. Baron and Elder are pretty much up at the same time. So it's going to be interesting to see what the strategy is in these next 4 minutes of play, trying to not give too much as these objectives get closer and closer. But I think we're going to probably see a fight or two before we get to
that, Elder, as I was saying, or do you see them wait here? That is the big question.
I don't know. I mean, knowing what I know now, I don't even think they get to the Elder at this point. That seems too far away. Maybe it does, but I would have seen Elder as the win con for both sides here. I wouldn't have seen this game end before that. So I think both teams should have been playing for this Elder. I think with this Baron, they need to try and find some siege for Edmond, but I don't think they're going to be able to. The wave clear is pretty solid from Jenks too. I don't know how this plays out, but this looks like a nice collapse over here towards the Cassante.
And I think they're going to try and do a little bit more, but take a look at how much damage is actually going down here. A little bit of a problem as Plight tried to get in the middle and is unfortunately going to eat a lot of life bar loss. Requiem comes down but does next to nothing. That's Malina popping off here. It's going to be a 1-for-1 so far. Are you going to get a little bit more? The slice and dice there, as it's enough to follow through on the egg. The egg turned into nothing as it's a haymaker to finish it off. And it looks like that's all they almost wrote. Pantherai is the only one still alive. Edmond Memorial win a massive team fight.
Well, there you go. We got our answer. Wow. What a team fight from Edmond. And if they're able to end off of this, I mean, what a play from them. That was a lot of damage coming out from what I didn't think was going to happen, but they end. I mean, this is definitely an end. This is Edmond taking game 1 against this first seed Jenks Varsity, and what a game it was.
Crazy to think about here, as that will be the finish. Edmond Memorial, a team that we did not think could win with this composition, and granted, that last fight was not on their own terms. Jenks were the one to actually start it off. They were the ones to try and collapse onto Malinov, who played extremely well. We mentioned this before. Malinov, one of the players that we really did want to watch for on this Cassante, granted that boon there in the R5 position. Wanted to see it work, and it did. Very well done for Edmond Memorial.
Yeah, if you're Edmond Memorial there, you want to translate that momentum going into this next game.
Yep.
Try to close it out in 2. That's what you got to do. That's got to be the game plan in this best of 3. For Jenks, you had your opportunities there, and I think if we kind of looked at what that goal chart looked like across the game, it'd be a little back and forth seesaw action. So they had opportunities to get back into that game. They had an opportunity to snowball. They've got to clean up the execution, because I think there were some execution mistakes in those team fights, a little bit of an overextension there at the end that honestly kind of just lost the game. So clean it up. You had your opportunities. There were signs of great play and what you needed to do. Just execute now.
All right, well, we'll see if they can do so. We're going to go to a very short break, and when we come back, the OSSAA League of Legends Finals will continue in just a bit.